Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're doing well, and I pray that the peace and the mercy and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you. What we're going to do today is we're going to start looking at how we can improve our prayer by improving the way that we recite some of the du'as which we say inside our prayer. So we're going to fall back on last lesson. So last lesson we focused on our breathing, and you should have all been able to identify your out breath. Yeah, so usually before you start reciting the Quran, it definitely makes sense just to identify the 4 points of your breath, so you know what you're using to make your recitation. So we'll start off with that exercise, then we'll move into reciting something using the out breath. So first we're going to identify the breath. So remember to breathe in, and it's only the second time we've really done this in this course. What I find is people tend to think that they know how to do it now just because they've done it once, which isn't really the case. I mean, just because you've done something once, you'd realize something which you didn't notice before. If you do it a second time, it's just as possible for you to notice something which you hadn't noticed before as well. So it's very important to always come to the breathing with a beginner's mind, and not as something which you're getting over and done with, just like all the letters of the Quran as well, just like our prayer. So again, that means starting by breathing in through your nose, holding your breath, breathing out and holding your breath, and trying to identify those 4 points and taking your time to do this. And for yourself, if you recite the Quran regularly, I'd recommend allocating at least 2 minutes before you start to actually finding your breath. So you should be able to get to a point where you're kind of very easily being able to follow your breath as opposed to forcing your breath so much. If you need to pause the video and spend a bit more time on your breath, then you can pause the video here. But from here we're going to go on to speaking about how to recite Allahu Akbar. Yeah, so this is the fundamental thing which we recite. As soon as we start the prayer, it's the first thing that we recite. So we're going to start with this. So we're going to start, and you're going to copy, and you're going to try and see how we can improve this. Okay, so Allahu. Okay, good. What we're going to start with, the letter I'm going to start with is the ha at the end. So Allahu. This is a ha sound. Now this sound can actually come entirely from your breath. It's much more breathier sound than the hamza. So you have the a sound and the ha sound. The only real difference is that the ha is basically the breath, and the a uses the vocal cords a lot more. So I just want you to notice that when you say the ha, so remember to be this is softer. The sound kind of comes from your chest. So ha, ha. Good. Some people say it's from the bottom of the throat. It's a very chesty kind of a sound. Ha. Okay, good. Now, you should be slightly better at that. You should have noticed how your breath is used to actually produce that letter. That would be very useful. But apart from that, what I'm going to do now is to deeper understand this letter, we need to focus in on the origin a little bit. So the simple way to do this is we say a, and then we join it onto the ha. Okay, so listen. And you should be able to feel the breath, which is the ha sound. Okay, so ha, and then hu. Good, and then here, in the name of Allah, hu. Okay, that's good practice. So you should be able to feel the breath. So breathe in, hold, hu. Should be able to focus. Most people read this very wrong. They read it as more as a hamza as opposed to a ha. So it's important to be able to be clear with your ha. Yeah. So Allahu. Good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to focus on is the lam. Yeah, so the lam sound. Now, bring your awareness to the sound. La. So it's a vibrating sound. Your tongue should vibrate when you're making that. La. La. The tongue flattens. If you smile, you'll find this a lot easier. La. Very good. So this is just the lam, the letter lam in Arabic. It's the l sound. Yeah, so that's the normal. Now, to understand the origin of the lam, we're going to join a hamza onto it. So we're going to go al, al. So try and start with the a, smiley face, and then the lam is smiley face as well. So your tongue flattens. Al, al. Good. So you've got good awareness of that. Now, if you want to join that together, that would be Allah. Yeah. But what a lot of you will know that when you're saying the name of Allah in Arabic, you're meant to make the lam full mouth. So you're meant to say it with rounded lips. Yeah. So instead of saying la, we're going to say la. Now, a lot of you will go unconscious here because you've probably never practiced flat lips and round lips before. So don't worry too much about it. But his practice is la. So it's the same thing, la, but rounding your lips. That's basically all you've got to do. La, la, la. And some of you might need to practice it a bit deeper. But remember to breathe. La, la. Good. So the first one, which is a. So a. Practice the a at the beginning. So that's smiley face. A. And then la. Good. So practice it separately once more. A. La. Good. And remember to breathe. Allah. Okay, very good. So also it's got shadda, the name of Allah. So you're allowed to hold the lam for a little bit as well. Allah. And remember the hu, the breath. Hu. Allahu. Good. So that's simply the name of Allah, the name of our Creator. So hopefully you're able to say it a little bit better. We'll practice it once more. Remember to breathe. Allahu. Good. MashaAllah. Now when we start our prayer, we actually say Allahu Akbar. So we're going to practice the end bit. Akbar. Okay, slow down a bit. Remember to breathe. Akbar. Okay, so this is going to be smiley. Smiley. Akbar. Just the end for the ra, you go round. Yeah, so try and say that comfortably. Akbar. So ba. Okay, slow down now. Ba. Ra. You're just saying the ra. So it depends on how comfortable you are with the ra. So the ra is a rolling sound where your tongue actually hits the same place more than once. So it's quite a difficult letter if you've not practiced it. You get that sound coming. Ra. Ba. Bar. Bar. Have you got that? Just practice that a little bit. Bar. Akbar. Akbar. Notice flat, flat. At the end it goes around. Akbar. Notice the lips. Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Good. So that's how you can start off your prayer next time. And obviously what we're looking to do is build in a few anchor points throughout the prayer. And Allahu Akbar comes 6 times per unit. So it's important to make sure you say, at least you can make sure that you say that properly with your breath. I'm just going to give you the dua for ruku as well. So this is the prostration position, the dua which you read there. Okay, so just remember to breathe. Subhana. Good. And now remember, just take your time. Sub. So the lips should be relaxed for the ba. Sub. Sub. And give it time. You don't need to run away from it. Then the ha sound. Ha. Subhana. Subhana. Good. Remember to breathe. Subhana. Good. And then Rabbi, so his Ra is round, Rabbi, Rabbi, Rabbi. Try and keep the lips relaxed if you can, don't think about it too much. Rabbi, Yal, Yal. So we're going to go smiley, B-L. That's all going to be smiley, yeah? B-L. Make sure your lips are wide for B-L. Good. Then the Ra is round, Rabbi-L. Does that make sense? So you're going round, flat, flat, flat. Rabbi-L. Good. And then this last word is hard. Everyone finds it quite hard. So starting with the Ain. Notice where the Ain comes from. It comes from your throat. Weem, weem, wa, we, weem. It's a round letter. Then it flattens out. Weem. Tongue touches the teeth, bottom of the teeth. Weem. Azim. Rabbi al-Azim. Good, now to breathe. Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal. ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم. Good, mashallah, that was good practice. Now I'm just going to do the dua for prostration, which is the same, but at the end the word is a'la, a'la. Try and feel the ain, so into the ain, a'la. Smiley, all of it. A'la. Good, remember to breathe. A'la. Good, so Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Rabbiyal A'la. Good, remember to breathe. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Good, mashallah. So those were the just the basic kind of anchor points. So you've got, when you start your prayer, when you move, and when you're in ruku, and when you're in sajda, you've at least got things which you can say at a quality where you're not taking your attention away from your thoughts, but you're just bringing your attention to the letters. Yeah. So we're not so worrying about beating the thoughts away and getting the thoughts, making them run away. We're just bringing our attention, bringing our thoughts, essentially bringing our consciousness towards the words, towards the name of Allah, towards saying the actual letters which we're trying to say. So what I want you to do is just write a journal about your experience. Write down how you found today's experience, and continue with the questions about your prayer. And next time you pray, make sure you check how these anchor points are going. So we've got 3 more days until the next video is going to be released. So for all of these days, every time you pray, start thinking about these anchor points. Of Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. And at those points, you're not forcing yourself to concentrate, you're simply just focusing on the letters, because you know the letters well enough over there. And I hope that helps. Let me know how you get on. If you can, just for now, right now, spare about a couple of minutes and start writing your reflections in the comments. Because what you'll notice is that your experience will become much deeper when you're able to explain it. And are able to actually appreciate what's going on. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll be sharing the next video in about 3 days, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.